Dear friends, as we grow older, what do we truly seek? Do we wish to live surrounded by our children and grandchildren, or do we desire happiness with our life partner? Many believe that in old age, they should rely on their children, thinking that after a lifetime of hard work raising them, it's now their responsibility to repay us. However, this belief may not always hold true. Our children have their own lives, their own concerns, and their own burdens. They cannot always be there to care for us as we age. Therefore, to enjoy a peaceful and happy old age, we must build for ourselves the following 3 secure pillars. First and foremost is health. Many people believe that saving up a lot of money is the key to a free and abundant life in old age, but they often forget that without health, money is meaningless. The saying, "health is wealth," holds true in every situation. When we are young, we may be so engrossed in work that we neglect our health, often trading our well-being for success. Yet, as we grow older, we find ourselves willing to trade everything just to regain our health. It's important to realize that waiting until old age to care about our health is too late. A healthy body is the foundation of a happy life. Even with vast wealth, if we are constantly sick, what meaning does life hold? As we age, our bodies naturally weaken, and even if our children are filial and wish to care for us, they may lack the time, energy, or means. Without health, without the ability to work or even to care for ourselves, we become a burden to others. And no parent wants to be a burden to their children. Taking care of your health in old age not only benefits you but also relieves your children of one more worry. In fact, staying healthy is a responsibility we owe to ourselves and our loved ones. Learn to understand your body, find out what it needs, and take the time to exercise and eat well. Living a healthy life not only ensures you are not a burden to your children, but also fills your days with energy and vitality. Don't underestimate the power of a healthy body. It keeps the spirit youthful, regardless of age. Secondly, a life partner. As we step into the later stages of life, the greatest happiness often comes from sharing our joys and successes with our children and grandchildren. Yet, this is only part of the story. At any age, we have our own emotions, and we still need love, understanding, and companionship from our life partner. The saying, "a spouse's care is worth more than a child's," is especially true for couples who have had the good fortune to grow old together. The care here is not just about meals or helping each other walk. It's about the deep understanding that only a lifelong partner can provide. But what if life hasn't blessed you with a partner into old age? Some people find themselves alone after the loss of a spouse, feeling the profound loneliness that can accompany old age. Despite being financially secure and having supportive children, the absence of a partner can leave a void. The story of Mr. Man from Hanoi illustrates this. After losing his wife nearly 20 years ago, he raised his children alone. Now, in his old age, despite his wealth and the love of his children, he still feels an emptiness without his wife by his side. Through a chance encounter at a community club, he met Mrs. Ho, and the two found companionship and mutual understanding in each other. However, their desire to marry was met with strong opposition from his children, who worried about societal judgment and financial implications. This situation reflects a broader challenge that many elderly people face: a need for companionship that is often misunderstood or disregarded by their families. In old age, having a life partner by your side is more than just a comfort. It's a source of joy, a person to share your days with, and a shoulder to lean on. Even the most devoted children cannot always be there for you, and it is unrealistic to expect them to fill the void left by the absence of a partner. For your own happiness and to avoid becoming a burden to your children, it's important to have someone who can share these years with you. Lastly, financial security. You may be able to navigate youth without money, but in old age, it is indispensable. When we are young, health and opportunity allow us to manage life's challenges. But in old age, as our bodies weaken and illness becomes more frequent, having financial resources becomes crucial. Some may have pensions or savings accumulated over the years, but not everyone is so fortunate. For those without financial security, the burden often falls on their children, who themselves may be entering retirement or facing financial pressures. This situation can lead to stress and tension, especially when the ability to earn money is no longer guaranteed. Having savings or a pension in old age provides the means to care for your health, cover medical expenses, and importantly, maintain your independence. It prevents you from being a financial burden on your children and ensures that you can live with dignity. Without financial security, old age can become a time of anxiety and dependence, where even the simplest pleasures of life may be out of reach. On the other hand, with sufficient resources, you can enjoy your golden years without worrying about money or being at the mercy of others. The stories we hear of elderly people being mistreated or neglected often stem from financial dependency. Parents who truly love their children will prepare for old age in a way that does not burden their children. Having the means to hire help if needed, or to pay for your own care, ensures that you can live out your days in peace and comfort. Dear friends, traditionally, Asian cultures have placed great emphasis on children as the primary support system for their aging parents. However, in today's world, it's important to adopt a more proactive approach, as seen in many developed countries. By preparing for your own old age through maintaining your health, securing your finances, and cherishing your life partner, you can ensure a life of dignity and happiness, free from unnecessary dependence on your children. These three pillars, health, a life partner, and financial security, are the most reliable foundations for a peaceful and fulfilling old age. Part 2. 3 secrets to thriving after losing your spouse. Have you ever wondered how you would cope if you lost your spouse? Life can be unpredictable, and the loss of a partner can leave you feeling empty and directionless. But what if there were secrets to not just surviving, but thriving after such a profound loss? Join us as we uncover the inspiring stories of 3 individuals who have navigated this difficult journey and share the most important lessons they've learned. Discover how you can find hope, independence, and happiness even after the most heartbreaking loss. Life in this world is unpredictable. You never know how far the person you love can accompany you. Miyazaki said life is like a train, and everyone can only accompany you for part of the journey. When they have to get off, you should be grateful because they have spent wonderful times with you. If someone can accompany you throughout the journey, you should be even more grateful. Having a partner when you're young and when you're old is a blessing, but not all love can last a lifetime. Some partners leave this world early due to illness or disaster. When the spouse is gone, the house becomes empty, as if life has lost its support. However, no matter how sad or painful it is, time does not stop for anyone, and the deceased will not come back to life. When your spouse dies, you have to heal yourself while living your life well. 3 experienced individuals share their personal stories to tell middle-aged and elderly friends that if your spouse leaves first, you must refuse to do 3 things to live a decent life in your later years. Doing so will make your later years comfortable and pleasant. 1. Immersing in excessive grief for too long. Imagine losing someone who has been by your side for most of your life. The emptiness is profound, and the memories can be both a comfort and a source of deep pain. Callista's story is one of heartbreak and resilience. At 67, she faced the unimaginable loss of her husband and found herself at a crossroads. How do you go on when the person you love most is gone? Callista's journey from despair to finding a new purpose in life is a testament to the human spirit's strength. Her story is not just about grief, but about rediscovering hope and learning to live again. Join us as we delve into her touching narrative and discover how even in the darkest times there is a way to find light and meaning. 67-year-old Callista said, "When I was 64, my husband passed away. Whenever I recall the time when he just left, I still find it hard to accept. During those days, I was like a walking corpse, feeling that life was meaningless. Many times I thought I might as well follow him. I often cried myself to sleep, especially at night when I couldn't sleep for whole nights, looking at the wide double bed where now only I lay. It was inevitable to feel sad. But every time I looked at our old photos, smiling so happily, I thought maybe I should persist a little longer. My husband wouldn't want me to live like this. No matter how sad I was, tears wouldn't bring him back. So, I continued to be sad, living well. And letting him in another world feel at ease is what I should do. Callista finally figured it out. Indeed, the separation of life and death is the saddest thing in the world, but the deceased are gone and the living continue. No matter how happy the past was or how sweet the memories, you cannot always dwell in the past and neglect the present beauty and future hopes. Learning to look forward and live well in the present is not only a duty to oneself but also a way to let the deceased spouse rest in peace. When the spouse is gone first, stay calm, comfort yourself, take good care of your health, keep a clear mind, and not let grief overwhelm you. Slowly adjust your mindset, regain confidence, and live a self-sufficient and strong life. Cheer up, eat when you want, sleep when you can, stroll in the park, and walk around the streets. Do not rely on others. Learn to enjoy solitude with elegance and wisdom, nurturing your spiritual world and loneliness like sipping aged wine, savoring your endless life. When lonely, you can check with friends, talk about everything, and find joy in solitude. This way, the lonely later years will still be enjoyable. Dealing with the loss of a lifelong partner is one of the most challenging experiences anyone can face. Callista's story highlights why this is such an important topic to discuss and understand. Firstly, her experience shows that grief is a universal emotion that doesn't discriminate by age, background, or culture. It reminds us that feeling deep sorrow and loneliness after losing a loved one is normal and a shared human experience. This understanding can help people feel less isolated in their grief, knowing that others have gone through similar struggles. Secondly, Callista's journey from despair to finding a new purpose emphasizes the importance of resilience. Life can bring unexpected and painful changes, but her story shows that it's possible to rebuild and find meaning even after a significant loss. This message is crucial because it offers hope to those who are currently struggling. It tells them that while the pain may never fully disappear, there is a path forward that includes joy and fulfillment. Moreover, Callista's story underscores the importance of self-care and mental health. In times of profound grief, it's easy to neglect one's well-being. Callista's decision to focus on her health, find joy in small things, and reach out to friends highlights practical steps that can help others in similar situations. It encourages people to take care of themselves, seek support, and not be afraid to embrace life again. Additionally, her story speaks to the power of memories and their role in healing. Callista found comfort in looking at old photos and remembering happy times with her husband. This act of cherishing positive memories can be a powerful tool for coping with loss, allowing people to honor their loved ones while still moving forward with their own lives. Lastly, Callista's experience illustrates the importance of living in the present and looking forward to the future. It teaches us that while it's natural to grieve and remember the past, it's also vital to find new sources of happiness and purpose. This balance is essential for living a fulfilling life even after experiencing profound loss. In conclusion, Callista's story is a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. It teaches us about the importance of self-care, the healing power of memories, and the necessity of finding a balance between honoring the past and embracing the future. Her journey offers hope and practical advice for anyone facing the difficult process of grieving. 2. Over-relying on children for the rest of your life. Have you ever wondered what life is like for elderly parents living with their grown children? Do they find comfort and happiness, or does it lead to unexpected challenges and heartache? In our story, Mrs. Amber, a 65-year-old widow, shares her heartfelt journey of living with her daughter and then deciding to live alone. Her experience reveals a powerful lesson about independence and finding true happiness in your golden years. Stay with us as we dive into her story and discover why sometimes the best company you can have is your own. Experiences of Mrs. Amber. 65-year-old Mrs. Amber said, "After my spouse passed away, I lived with my daughter for many years, and now I live alone again. Initially, I believed that the mutual support between parents and children was natural. I raised you when you were young, and you accompany me in my old age. However, After dedicating everything to my daughter's family, what I got in return was growing disdain over time. My husband and I were both retirees. I didn't think about how to live alone, believing that we would grow old together, but a disease took my husband away, leaving me alone. My daughter had just given birth to a grandson then, and my son-in-law took me in, saying I should live with them and retire. I was grateful for their advice and comfort. Seeing my grandson, I considered him a reincarnation of my husband and dedicated all my time and energy to him, helping with household chores at my daughter's place. Initially, my daughter and son-in-law gave me some money monthly for living expenses, but later they stopped because I had my pension. As my grandson grew, my pension was not enough for the family of 4. I mentioned this to my daughter many times, but she seemed impatient, occasionally giving me some money, mostly pretending to forget. The elderly talk a lot, and living together inevitably leads to disagreements. Sometimes I couldn't help but criticize my daughter for not knowing how to live frugally, shopping online every day without saving for a rainy day. Regarding my grandson's education, my daughter and son-in-law let him develop naturally, while I believe that children should be disciplined from an early age. Over time, there was a gap between us. They spoke to me less politely and respectfully. Reflecting on my years at my daughter's place, I chose to live alone again. When I proposed returning home, they said they would miss me but were obviously happy and relieved. It seemed my presence was a burden. They needed my help when my grandson was young, but now they could manage on their own. Back home, initially I felt lonely and idle, not busy anymore, and life was simple. But I felt empty and lost without emotional support. After a while, I learned to enjoy solitude, rediscovered some of my interests, joined calligraphy and painting classes, and community groups, making a few like-minded friends. My days are fulfilling. I realized that a life of money, leisure, and freedom is the ideal I have longed for. After my husband passed away, I finally lived the retirement life I wanted. The story of Mrs. Amber is a powerful reminder of the importance of independence and self-reliance in our golden years. As life expectancy increases, many people find themselves facing the challenge of living alone after a spouse passes away. While it might seem ideal to live with grown children, this arrangement often brings unexpected difficulties. Mrs. Amber's experience highlights several reasons why maintaining independence is crucial for elderly individuals. Firstly, living with children can lead to conflicts due to generational differences. Mrs. Amber's story shows how differing views on money, child rearing, and daily habits can create tension. This is not just a cultural issue, but a universal one. In the U.S., families often face similar challenges, where the desire for independence clashes with the need for familial support. Secondly, the sense of being a burden can be emotionally taxing. Mrs. Amber felt unappreciated and even resented after years of dedicating herself to her daughter's family. This emotional strain can lead to feelings of worthlessness and depression among elderly parents. In American culture, where independence is highly valued, the idea of being a burden can be particularly hard to bear. Thirdly, finding personal fulfillment is essential for a happy and healthy retirement. Mrs. Amber eventually discovered joy in her solitude, rediscovering hobbies, and making new friends. This highlights the importance of pursuing personal interests and staying socially active, which are key components of a fulfilling retirement. Many seniors in the U.S. find happiness in community centers, clubs, and volunteer work, all of which provide a sense of purpose and belonging. In conclusion, while living with grown children might seem like a practical solution for elderly parents, Mrs. Amber's story shows that independence often leads to greater happiness and fulfillment. Encouraging seniors to find their own path and maintain their autonomy can lead to a more satisfying and dignified retirement. This is a lesson that resonates deeply within American culture, where the pursuit of happiness and independence is a fundamental value. 3. Rashly finding a new partner or remarrying. Are you considering finding a new partner or remarrying in your later years? Before you take that step, listen to Mrs. Fong's story. At 62, she thought she found companionship after her first husband's passing, only to face unexpected challenges and heartbreak. Her experience serves as a cautionary tale for anyone thinking about remarriage in their golden years. Join us as we explore the risks and realities of elderly remarriage through Mrs. Fong's journey. You might find valuable insights that could save you from future regrets. Experiences of Mrs. Kelly. 62-year-old Mrs. Kelly said, "Having been through 2 marriages, my first husband died when I was 53. 3 years later, I remarried but divorced within a year. Thinking about my second marriage still pains and angers me. I want to share my experience to remind others considering remarriage. At 50, I retired, hoping to travel with my husband after his retirement, making up for lost time. Unfortunately, he died of illness before retirement. After he passed, I was in deep grief for a long time. My son, seeing me so depressed, was worried and wanted me to live with him, but I didn't want to trouble him. They were busy enough. My son then wanted to enroll me in a senior travel group to cheer me up, but I didn't want to trouble him, so I enrolled in a dance and poetry recitation class myself. There I met my second husband, Mr. Galley. Initially, we were just acquaintances. One day, I sprained my ankle going down the stairs. Mr. Galley immediately helped me to the hospital and took care of me at home. For those few days, I couldn't attend the class, but he came over daily to help. Gradually, we got closer. 2 months later, Mr. Galley proposed, saying he liked me and wanted to live together for mutual support. I was happy but didn't agree immediately, saying I'd discuss it with my son. My son didn't oppose but suggested meeting Mr. Galley's family to see how they were. Mr. Galley agreed readily. That night, both families had dinner together. Afterward, my son advised me to observe more and not rush into marriage, but I didn't listen, thinking Mr. Galley was good enough. A few days later, we registered our marriage and I moved into his house. Initially, we got along well. Though I did all the housework, I didn't mind as I did it before. Conflicts began when 3 old friends invited me to travel. I agreed without hesitation, but Mr. Galley was unhappy, saying no one would do the housework if I went. I felt unfair. Was I hired to do housework? That day, we argued fiercely. He said hurtful things, implying I was useless without housework. For the first time, I doubted the marriage. Returning from the trip, things got worse. Mr. Galley's son divorced, leaving a grandson with us. At first, I took care of him as my own, but he was spoiled, picky with food, throwing tantrums if displeased. After some days I couldn't handle him. I talked to Mr. Galley, suggesting his son take the grandson. Mr. Galley opposed strongly, saying, "You're not my grandson's mother, so don't interfere. If you can't do it, stay out of it." I felt extremely wronged, finally understanding that remarriage at this age is challenging. It's hard to gain acceptance from the new partner's family. After months of enduring, I filed for divorce as I couldn't live like this anymore. Thankfully, the divorce was smooth. Reflecting now, I think living alone might be lonely, but it's better than dealing with so many problems. Understanding the challenges and risks of remarrying in later years is crucial for several reasons. Mrs. Kelly's story illustrates the potential complications that can arise from blending lives at an older age. Firstly, elderly remarriages often involve deeply ingrained habits and viewpoints that have developed over decades. These differences can make it challenging to live harmoniously. Unlike younger couples, older individuals may find it harder to adapt to a new partner's lifestyle and expectations. Mrs. Kelly experienced this firsthand when she clashed with Mr. Galley over household responsibilities and travel plans. Such conflicts can lead to significant stress and dissatisfaction. Secondly, acceptance from a new partner's family can be difficult to achieve. Older children and grandchildren may have established routines and expectations that a new spouse disrupts. In Mrs. Kelly's case, Mr. Galley's son and grandson added unexpected strain to her new marriage. The lack of acceptance and cooperation from family members can create an environment of tension and resentment, making it harder for the marriage to thrive. Moreover, emotional readiness is another critical factor. After the loss of a spouse, loneliness and fear of the future can drive someone to seek companionship quickly. However, this rush can result in overlooking potential red flags. Mrs. Kelly's swift decision to marry Mr. Galley, despite her son's advice to observe and wait, ultimately led to disappointment and another divorce. Emotional healing and a careful evaluation of one's needs and expectations are essential before entering a new marriage. Lastly, financial and legal complications are common in elderly remarriages. Issues like inheritance, healthcare decisions, and the division of assets can become contentious. While Mrs. Kelly's story doesn't delve into these aspects, they are important considerations for anyone thinking about remarrying later in life. In conclusion, while companionship in old age is valuable, Mrs. Kelly's experience underscores the importance of careful consideration and thorough evaluation before deciding to remarry. Understanding these potential challenges can help individuals make informed decisions that lead to happier, more stable relationships. In conclusion, life after the loss of a spouse can be incredibly challenging, but it is possible to find joy and fulfillment again. By avoiding prolonged grief, excessive dependence on children, and rushing into a new relationship, you can create a rich and meaningful life for yourself. Take care of your health, engage in activities that bring you happiness, and build new connections with others. Embrace your independence and cherish the memories of your loved one while also looking forward to new experiences. These steps can help you heal and find a new purpose. Remember, life is precious and every moment counts. By making thoughtful choices and focusing on your well-being, you can thrive even after such a significant loss. The stories of Callista, Mrs. Amber, and Mrs. Kelly show that while grief is a natural response, resilience and self-care are key to moving forward and finding light in the darkest times.
If you find these stories inspiring and they motivate you to take action, please comment 9. If not, comment 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Thank you for your valuable time.